Hi, JamesAnimalHarrison. I'm back with a new lesson, and I actually had somebody email me this and ask me this, and I actually have never done a lesson on this. Somebody asked me if I could explain how to hold the drumsticks, and I've never done that. And you know, there's a lot of videos out there. And before I do this, I do want to say that there have been a lot of changes through time in the way a lot of people interpret holding the sticks and stuff like that. So this is the way I teach it. And there is no right or wrong, but there is a technique of holding it that if it's poor, it's going to hold you back. It's going to inhibit you. So there's a lot of famous drummers that hold sticks technically inaccurate, but it works for them. So I do want to clarify before I do this. If you're going to be part of a school band program and marching band or something like that, then your grip is very, very important. If you're just going to be playing drum set by yourself, as long as you're holding the sticks in a manner that are close to normal and they're not inhibiting your ability to perform, then you can kind of get away with it. Nobody really cares about a grip or your technique on the grip except other drummers or teachers, not other musicians like guitar players, horn players. You're never going to be judged on a gig saying, well, I don't like the way he holds the sticks, unless it's something that is based on that, like a lot of the marching arms and things like that. So anyway, I'm going to do two different grips. The first one is traditional grip. And the first thing I want to say is I divide the stick into thirds. And this is the butt of the stick, and this is the tip of the stick. I divide it into equal thirds. That's how I start. So if you'll just take a stick and divide it into equal thirds, you're going to grip where that last third is on the butt of the stick. And I'm going to explain the right hand first. So I'm going to take that stick, divide it into equal thirds, and I'm going to grab that area between the fleshy part of my thumb, where you get a fingerprint, and my knuckles on my index finger. And I'm going to wrap my fingers around that stick, and I'm going to have the stick come through my hand. I'm not going to go into that indention in the hand. I'm going to go to the fatty part of my hand and bring my fingers around it. So it's not all the way out in the fingers. It's not all the way down in the hand. It's just kind of like that. This is the way I do it. And I often explain this to beginners. Have you ever eaten meat or taken a knife to cut a piece of meat and hold it like that? You're cutting. That's basically what it is. The fulcrum in this case is between the index finger and the thumb. Now I know there's a lot of things like with tenor players and marching band or drum set players that often talk about the fulcrum being between these three and whatnot. I'm talking about the basics. It's imagine that there's a hinge on there, okay? And so the basic, what we call the American grip, or actually it's originally called the German match grip, is the hand the palm is facing the floor, the hand is down, and you have this hinge motion with your wrist, and we're going to work with that, okay? So it's not out like this. Hopefully you can see that on camera. It's not in like this at a weird angle. Your arm is relaxed down your sides and natural flow down so that you can lift that wrist up. And you notice when I do this, my hand will come up this high. It will also go down low. Now, we don't play drums where we go past that point. We only come to this point to there. But the reason that that's such a popular grip, and it has a German match grip, has a lot of power. And I always kind of explain it like you're knocking on a door. That same motion. Okay? It's straight up and down. Not a lot of arm motion to that. It's just a wrist motion. Okay? Now, if you're doing match grip, I guess I should talk about match grip first. You would do the same thing in the left hand. So the grips are equal, and the elbows are just relaxed, arms down, and the palms are facing the floor. And it's like knocking on a door. I'm not sticking my fingers off or any of that kind of stuff. I'm not squeezing the stick. I'm just holding it enough that it's not going to fly out of my hand, and I have that grip. Now, there's a lot of alterations or other ways that people do this. There's the French grip. The French grip is used for timpani a lot. Your arms come in and the sticks are parallel to each other, and the thumbs are on top. And it's used for timpani a lot. It's mostly a finger type grip. What a lot of people call the American grip is kind of in between that, where the German grip is like this, the French grip's like that. The American grip, they kind of, if you imagine bringing your sticks in a little bit and then turning your hands slightly. And it's kind of a hybrid of that. And there's a video Steve Smith has out where he even talks about playing underhanded like that. Certain jazz drummers have done that over time. As a drum set player, you're kind of going to use a little bit of French, a little bit of American, a little bit of German, because as I set at a drum set, my basic snare drum technique is going to be German match grip. But as I go around the drums, my hands will start to turn up. So if I'm over on this tom, I'm almost French now, and I get here and I go around the drum set, I'm actually thumbs up. A lot of times, rock players you'll see play with the German grip, and in jazz players you'll notice they'll play the ride cymbal often like this with the thumb up, like a French grip. It's a different articulation and it's a different feel, and it gives you a lot more finger control. If I play just 8 hits on a hand on this pad with the German grip, now I come to this thumb up. I don't know if you could tell on the phone, but there's a definite. One is a little bit of a lighter touch sound, even with the same amount of stroke. A lot of the power rock players, you know, we use what we call the Moeller method, which is like you're throwing a ball. There's a whip to it. Arm leads, wrist follows. It's hard to do the Moeller when you're doing a different type of thing because the wrist doesn't react the same way. Not that you can't do it, it's just not the same. So the majority of my playing in front of me is match grip on drum set. As I go around the drums, it does turn up. A lot of what I do on the ride cymbal is up like that, so I can get different articulations and touch with my fingers involved. I will say if you're playing really hard and heavy, to have the thumb up can inhibit the motion that your wrist makes. If I'm here on the hi-hat, I get a full stroke. If I'm here, I can't do that comfortably. So that's the basics of match grip. Again, like you're cutting with a steak knife, that's the basics of it, the way I explain it. Now, when we get to traditional grip, of course, the right hand is the same. The left hand, you divide that stick into thirds again, and that back third, you're going to take that stick in that back third and put it in the webbing, what I call the webbing of your hand, between your thumb and your index finger. Okay? That is where that stick is going to be. And then you're just going to cradle your hand like this and put the stick between the middle finger and the ring finger. But you don't want it to go past this knuckle. So you're just going to kind of relax the fingers. So the way I look at doing this is to put it in the web of the hand, and I bring the index finger over the stick, like so, and I touch my thumb to that first joint. So a lot of times in the old days, we would say you make a T, and that stick is in there, and you make a T, and then you take the ring finger and almost put it the same way, and you relax that stick. Some people go all the way out on the edge of the stick, some do it on that knuckle. Just don't go past the middle knuckle. And then just relax the index finger, the middle finger, so it doesn't have to be pointed up, as long as it doesn't inhibit the motion of the stick. And then curl the pinky under, okay? So it's almost like if you were gonna hold a ball in your hand, but you're gonna have that stick there. Now, and in the old days, the drums were tilted. So that being the case, the thumb was up like this, and it gave you an angle. So you had the sticks like this, but because the drums were tilted in the old days, that angle matched. But because the drums are flatter today, what you're going to notice is if you keep that upright, it's not the same sound quality as this. It has a darker sound. So what's often happening now, to get the equal distance, they'll roll the hand slightly outward from upright to just a little bit flatter, and just relax. The stick has the arm motion, and it also has the wrist motion. Imagine turning a doorknob. It's that thing. You don't have to ever turn the hand over, because once you hit here, the stick is going to be hitting. And you want to be able to get it, You can practice turning your hand to where it's flat. That's what you're looking for. Now, a lot of times with some of the marching groups, you'll see a lot of people with a hand very flat to start. You just have to be careful with that because you have nowhere for your wrist to go and you end up doing a lot of arm. Another thing that's become very popular in the last several years is when I was young, the thumb was like this, and the finger came over the stick, and the thumb met the finger. Nowadays, sometimes you'll see people bring the thumb over the stick to meet the finger. Bring the thumb over to meet the finger instead of the finger over to meet the thumb. So that's basically my explanation. There's the inside of it. There's the back side of it. And a lot of times people will say, well, it looks like you're holding it in the middle. Well, no. If I do this, you can see my fulcrum points are in the same place. So, like I'm holding a steak knife and cutting, if it's match grip, that's what it is. Palms facing the floor. To be honest with you, I actually do a little slight turn, because if I put my hand completely flat, I feel tension when I get here. If I just slightly turn it, I come all the way up with no tension in the arm. That's what I do, and that's what I teach. The left hand, it depends on what you're doing. To me, as long as you have good control over it and can turn that wrist, then you're going to be okay. Just be careful not to get too tight in it where you're playing this way instead of having that rotation. So, in a nutshell, that's the way I hold the sticks. Here's the right hand from the inside, from the back. Left hand from the back, from the inside. And to me, it should be very relaxed. When I was young, I was a big fan of the Phantom Regiment and Marty Hurley, and I used to put tape around my finger like that, and they'd cock that pinky back and put that finger straight. The playing now is much more of a relaxed style than it was back in the day. And a lot of it's because of the type of heads they use are so hard that if you played with a lot of force and tension, you would have carpal tunnel problems and stuff like that. So anyway, in a nutshell, that's how I hold the sticks. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email about it or something, and or just comment on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, and I'll answer your questions best I can. Thanks.